CBS, I would meet some of the great jazz drummers and some of the new rock and roll drummers coming in. But Aquarian is really where I got to work with a lot of major drummers.
Yeah. So Roy Burns and Ron at Aquarian, did you start in the beginning with them?
Yes. What happened was I was working for CBS. It's kind of winding down over there. I was just looking for a way out, something new, you know. So I come up with this idea, and I take it over to a guy that was becoming my friend. He owned a powder coating company. So a lot of the stuff we would make, he would sample powder coat it for us, and if the job went through, he would get the job. You know, he'd powder coat all the parts. So he was doing pretty good with us. So him and I got to become friends. He actually asked me when I come over, come on in, sit down. Let's talk a little bit. How's your family doing? He was a great guy. That's Ron Marquez. Yes. He was a wonderful person. And I was having him powder coat some parts for me. He said, what is this? I said, well, it's an idea. You don't understand. But cymbals, when these guys are hitting them, are running out of room. They hit this and they're breaking them. So this is a spring type thing that'll hold their cymbals so that when they hit it, if it goes too far, it'll bend.
It'll flex and absorb.
It'll flex and absorb that instead of breaking the cymbal. He said, well, that's pretty cool. What are you going to do with that? I go, why? He said, because I want it. I want to do something with it. I said, well, like what? You want to buy it? Or he said, yeah, what do you want for it? I don't know, 25 grand. He says, would you be interested if I just put you to work as a designer, and maybe we could branch off into other stuff? I said, sure. And I started with this. I really liked this guy. And working with him, I even began to like him more because he was so fair and so right on. Such a great businessman, that too. Because when we first started Aquarian, we were struggling all the time. It takes so much money to have parts made and powder coat them, but he never made parts before or had anything done like that. So we found that there's an awful lot involved in manufacturing. But we were doing it because we had to set up new tables and presses and everything to build this stuff. So we did it. And I said, I talked to Ron one day and I said, Ron, there's a guy over at CBS Musical Instruments. His name's Roy Burns. He's a great marketing guy. Maybe you might be interested in bringing him over here so he can market this thing, come up with the ads and design the ads and do that, because he can do that. He's a great drummer too. He demonstrates stuff at music stores and stuff. If we ever come up with a product that we want to demonstrate, we'll get the drum shop in Hollywood to do a big session, and And so he said, sure, I'd like to talk to him. So Roy was a good friend of mine. Him and I would go out to lunch together. He wouldn't associate with anybody else over at CBS. He didn't like any of them. Because he was a professional drummer and he just didn't see anybody as real, these corporate people and everything. But me, he did, because he could relate to me because I was a drummer and I came up with some pretty neat drum stuff that he could really get into. So I come over and says, hey, I'm going to be working with this guy. I invented this Cymbal Springs. What's that? And I told him, oh, that's cool. So would you be interested maybe talking to Ron and come over and work with us? He goes, yeah, I'd like to do that. So he comes over and boy, they hit it off right away. Roy saw this guy as pure as I did. No corporate guy like this, as a matter of fact, when you came into his office, he has a couch, and you'd sit down and he'd come over and sit on the couch with you. He wouldn't sit behind the desk because he says you only do that with other business people. But when it's your friends, the couch is there to sit with them. See, who would know stuff like that unless you're around with guys that have that etiquette, that type of thinking. So from there, we just come up with other products, other little things. But one day, well, it was after I worked there a couple of years, I moved way out to Springville, California. You ever hear of that?
I have, yes.
Yeah, way out there. But they allowed me to do that. It says, okay, just drive in, work these amount of days and go back. Okay, so that arrangement worked real good. And I remember one day I come in, I'm pulling, they're standing in the parking lot waiting for me. I said, oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? And they said, Dave. So they're rushing all over me, but it's not bad. I can tell. My vibe said something's going on. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We want to do drum heads. Boy, that stopped me cold, because the minute I heard we want to do drum heads, the amount of tooling it takes to do 12 different sizes, just tooling to make 12 different drum heads. And then all the different variety of drum heads you might have, all the putting on the dots and everything. And my first thing I said to them was, you guys realize that if we do drum heads, we can't just be a me too. We have drum heads also. Because how many other drum head manufacturers? Remo and Evans and all those guys. And I said, we got to have an edge. If we're not really talking about something, we have nothing. They said, that's what you're for. I said, well, gee, this is like putting a whole company on my shoulders.
Yeah, wow.
A whole set of drum heads. Okay. So, well, of course, the first thing I do as a designer, inventor, I sit down and say, okay, what can be our edge? What is the problem with drum heads?
And as a player too, because you played many
as a
gigs.
player, I know all about this.
Yes.
Sound is important. Can't eliminate sound. In fact, if you can improve it, better. What else happens? Oh yeah, Remo's drum heads pull out of the hoops a lot, you know. And let me see what else. They break them. Okay, now I got a couple things I can work on here. So I sat down. I said, I want to make, first of all, the first thing I want to do is come up with a hoop that holds that head in there. I mean, I want them to be able to tighten that drum head till they can't even turn the screws anymore, and that drum head will stay in there. Did you ever see how the hoop works?
Yes.
It's got a thing like this, then it goes down into another channel. The holes are there. When you fill it, it runs down into that channel. And you cannot. Have you ever heard of an accordion coming apart? No. Okay, that was number one. They said, okay, that's a good edge. But I actually designed that at the house when I was at home. I didn't even do that at work. I was just sitting there one day and said, how can I make a hoop? So, you just start drawing in views of it. What can I do to lock it in? Oh yeah, I'll put a little bar across here. The hoop's going to have to be a little deeper because I want to have a space for the head to come up and the epoxy to flow through those holes and lock underneath that. And that works. But I did that at home. I just was drawing some. Came into work and told them, I got a hoop. And I showed it to them. They could see that right away. Engineer or not. Nice in view. Here's how we're all. Yeah. And then my next thinking was, I got to make a snare drum head, if nothing else, that's unbreakable, but sounds good. Okay. And that's where I came up with the high energy. I found this company, it was just by luck. No, they came in and they were showing me some materials. And I said, what's this? I'll say, that's a woven polyester cloth, woven, but drumhead material, polyester. It's a thread, real thin with an adhesive on the back. I said, well, it looks pretty tough to me. I wonder if I laminated that on the whole head and then put another little piece. It's thin. I mean, like a couple thousandths. So I said, this ain't going to hurt the sound too bad. So I put a dot in the center of that. I said, that should do it. How's it sound? Well, I tuned it up real good. In fact, I didn't need any muffling. It pretty much took care of that, but it had a pretty good sound too. Rock and roll sound. So real nice. And so I tried to break it, but that's not how drum heads break. They need lots of time on them. They need to fatigue the material and break it. So while the way I was testing it wasn't going to mean anything. So I managed to get out and meet some drummers in the club that were more than interested in trying it, because they go through a drum head every week. I'm talking about the heavy hitters that were playing around the area. Got to know them. And then once I got to know them, they were willing to test anything. Then I had their phone numbers and could call them and find out where they're at. So no problem getting products into
a test market.
Yeah. They were more than love to do it. And They never broke a drum head. And I said, well, this is the first hit I've ever played this long that didn't break. So, okay. But I was making these drum heads out of like I might get an Evans or a Remo and do the patch it because we weren't making drum heads yet. I was only testing theories because a drum head's a drum head. If it pulls out a Remo, get another one, make it over again. I don't care about that. I mean, we're not testing that right now because I'm positive that hoop's going to work, no doubt about it. But I'm not sure about this. So drummers liked it. They liked the sound, couldn't break them. As a matter of fact, after we got that in the market, we had a lot of endorsers, a lot of guys that worked with us. And one of the famous drummers, I might be able to think of it in a minute, but he brought one of the heads back. He just laid it down there and he said, I was doing a recording, and after about our third song, the engineer said, did you touch that drum, do anything? He said, no. He said, it changed a little bit. And the drummer goes, did it hurt? Is it bad? We got to, no, it just changed. We're doing different songs. He says, it just changed. It's okay, sounds good. What happened was the drum head broke. The Mylar broke, but the rest of it held it together. He finished the whole thing with that broken drum head. Didn't even know it was broke. The Mylar fatigue, I mean, the way these guys hit, I mean, it's you're gonna break a sewer pipe in half with the way they play. You know? Sewer pipe with cement heads, they'll break it. And they use monkey wrenches for drumsticks. You know, but so once we determined we had a good unbreakable type drum head, we could add that theory, maybe at least the dot, a thin dot, and make dot heads that are pretty much indestructible for toms. So then it was doing all the engineering it takes to form the heads, to push them into the hoops, to fill them with epoxy. All that engineering had to take place. Took over a year. In fact, I think even Greg, my son, came down and helped us with that because there's a lot of machine work. Actually, we ended up buying lathes and mills and all kinds of machines because I was a machinist. So I had, by grace, by being a machinist, I could save us a lot of money by doing a lot of this machine work instead of sending it out. So we managed to actually build all the tooling we needed, but some stuff I'd have to send out was too big, to mill. But I got to tell you first of all, I didn't know how a drum head was formed. I knew they did it with heat somehow, but I didn't know exactly how that was done, and nobody's going to tell me.
Right.
So one day, just out of, Ron brings in a package and said, some drum heads in there, take a look. So I took a look at them, and I'm looking at them. Man, these are nice. Where'd this come from? He said, this come from Taiwan. What are they asking us? He says, they want to know if we want to buy these. And I said, you know what? This could be a real good way to get into the market without all the tooling finished. I said, we buy them, put our name on it, it's not our hoop, but the way how they made the hoop was they pushed the head in and put a square aluminum bar in there and then roll it over. That's a good mechanical way to hold in a head. Still not as good as the hoop I designed. They'll still slip around that. So I said, man, we could get into the drum head more quick. I said, but let's get their price down. And Ron says, what do you mean? It's a pretty good price. And I says, well, I need to go over there and I need to be like an engineer that's coming there to show them how they can improve their manufacturing and improve everything so they'll make more money, but I'll learn how they're made.
Yes.
Called them up and they said, we'd love to have them come over.
Wow.
So they paid my way there. We paid my way back. They covered all the expenses, and I was there for like a month or so, and I really did improve what they did. I mean, I wasn't just there not doing anything. I actually showed them how to go through steps. Don't do this step, do this. You do it twice as fast. They actually cut our costs by about 30%. So that's a good thing. We did do them a justifiable thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole purpose of that was so I could see how they were made.
Yes.
And when I saw it, I go, yeah, this is simple. It's just you have a form like the head.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have an upper part that, well, you lay your mylar pre-cut to the
Mm-hmm.
right size so that when it's formed, it'll come out, flange out just right. And you can change the dimension of where you cut that so it'll flange out so that when you push it in the hoop, it'll come right up at the right point.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy to figure out. That's easy engineering. So once I found that out, I come back and I say, okay, I know how we do it. So we're going to test it on the 14-inch. So I build all the tooling, the press and everything for a 14-inch head. First time we put that in there, heated it up to the right degree, beautifully formed head. I mean, it was perfect. I mean, it doesn't again. I go, that's what we were. That's what they paid us to find out how to do this really nice.
Yeah.
So it formed really nice. So we have that down, okay. So then we have our aluminum extruder make the first extruded hoop.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to figure out how to bend it. But I knew benders worked on a principle of two things here, and one pushes it in and bends it so that when you roll it, it'll make a circle out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
The thing kept. So I said, I think what I need is a support in there because it was doing weird things. So I had this little strips of plastic as long as the piece of aluminum had to be so that it came around at the right length.
Mm-hmm.
It fit in the trough, just fit. Perfect.
Wow.
They pull it out and just put it in another. And in other words, it didn't slow down the manufacturing aim of what we were getting a perfectly rolled hoop.
Mm-hmm.
However, you have to figure, because see, when it finishes, it's straight at the end. It's all around here, but the rollers can't catch anymore once it goes over a certain point, so it has to be straight. Mm-hmm. So you have to figure the length so that it goes like this and it's round here. Then you have to cut through that so it's a perfect circle still. You know, you're just finding out where it still a circle.
Correct.
But all that was all part of the process of learning how to do. I'm learning more than I ever learned in my life about anything. But the tooling and the engineering wasn't coming hard. It was just common sense type stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, how to roll it, how to do that. I had a little bit of experience with that. So eventually we were making our own heads, all sizes, all the tooling. We were pouring the epoxy in the hoops. We found a company that had the equipment that pours, but we had to make it so we could turn it. So it will go in the hoop in a circle and then shut off just when it's full, and then slide it over and put in new ones and just keep going into bins until it dried and then start. And thus, Aquarian accessories. And then from then on, it was just improving drum head. The kick head.
Mm-hmm. SuperKick. Yeah.
Best kick head in the world.
Goodness, yeah.
That thing, you just put it on there, you need to do nothing else. Mm-hmm. I mean, I played that thing in Nevada, Carson City, Nevada. There was a club there called, I can't think of it, but we were playing a small venue. Usually we're up on the big stage, but they're putting us in a small room because they're what they call their heavy hitters, the guys that spend lots of money. Mm-hmm. And they don't need all that rock and roll. They want some guys that can play some 50s and 60s stuff because these are that generation of people.
Their music, yes.
So we're set up just on the floor, and he says, let me hear you kick. He said, you got that thing mic'd? This is the sound here. I said, I don't have no mic on it. He said, man, it sounds like it. So no, it was just the sound of that. Just so, that's probably what I feel was my best drum head. Because I understood that in order to dampen correctly, whatever's doing the dampening has to float. It's got to float. It can't be solid. Once you make it solid, it just becomes part of the whole mass vibrating. But if it floats, what it's doing is like you have your vibration here and it's going, it's slapping it to stop it. But if it's solid to it, don't work. So that's what it is. A ring holds that felt, but the edge coming out is loose. You've seen it.
Yes, yeah, we've been selling those for years, decades, really. It's a fantastic drum head.
Yeah, that is a great head. That's the favorite thing I did as far as head design goes. Simple, you know.
How about the snare side head? Tell me about that one with the extra mylar on the edges so the wires don't.
Oh yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me
yeah.
about
Well,
that one.
that was just taking that the real thin material, cutting it so it just fit on the head. Yeah, I think that worked. I don't know
Yeah, they
whatever
call that the high energy snare head.
Did it work?
It works, and we have it on the shelf. We sell them all the time. Yeah, it's designed as you designed it, so the snare wires and the solder won't
Cut through
wear,
the head.
won't cut through.
Yeah, that was just one. I worked there for quite a few years, and product after product after product, and by the time you leave, you never really know what any of this stuff actually did, how well it sold. But one thing I can do is go online and find out that Aquarian is still in business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they would of course hire engineers after me and improve what they do and everything. And I see you carry a real nice supply of Aquarian. I don't see that very. You must like Aquarian or something.
Well, we like great products, and we carry great products.
Well, that's good because it is a great product. Unfortunately, it wasn't more of expensive because we wanted to make a lot of money. It's just that the manufacturing cost to make that type of head was expensive. And we tried to give good discounts so we could just almost break even, because that head's worthy of giving it a try. Because if you do, they'll probably last longer and you'll be really satisfied with the sound. I think most guys that use them come back to them. They don't go to Remo again after.
Correct. Yeah, and what we noticed too is being such a great flesh hoop and a great epoxy, the drum head stays in tune long.
Yes, it does. That's all part of it.
And that's so crucial for a drummer. We don't want to spend all our time tuning.
Right. That's true. I mean, I was playing music when I was working for all these people I work for. I always play on a weekend or something. Of course, I was using Aquarian heads. I knew what they sounded like. I knew they tuned up good. I knew the kick drum was always going to kick butt. I mean, I love that kick drum head. And so easy to mic everything because they tune up so nice,
Yeah, very true. So there comes a point, I'm assuming, that you move on past Aquarian? Do you retire? Do you move on to some other?
Oh, let's see. After Aquarian, what did I do? Who knows? There's probably parts of my life that are totally Yes, I got into the toy business.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And the reason why I got into the toy business, because I found out for the same amount of time of the stroke of the pen, I can make 100 times more than in the drum industry. I could design a great drum product and make $100 a month, or design a great toy at the same amount of time and make 1,000 a month.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So this is when I did the Stomp Rocket. I don't know if you ever heard of this.
I have heard of that, yes.
Yeah. And the problem with the Stomp Rocket was how I knew that was going to be a hit. How I knew. Sometimes you just don't know. I built the first prototype. I think I took a hollow toy football. It's hollow, but nice and tight, Yeah. Cut the end off so I could fit a tube in there. I mean, and and then I figured out a way to keep it in. Then I took that tube and took a plastic tube, at the end, and made rockets that would just slide over that tube. Glue fins on it. They were paper. I could wrap them. I could wrap them around the tube I was shooting them off, so they always had a nice fit, And then I'd tape it at the side, put a tip on it, and then a stand, so that and watch it go up. I was out in the field testing that one time. I think what I did was made a lot of different length rockets and kept it at the same angle and shot the 6-inch out, the 8-inch, and just see which one would distance better. That's all. Just determine what length rocket do I want, little short ones, long ones. And it came to one that did this, and then you make it any longer, shorten the flight.
Oh, okay.
Make a shorter one goes far. So eventually I nailed it down to the perfect length. Now, how I knew that was going to sell, I was out in a field one day. It's a field, but a lot of houses around. Okay? And I'm testing it. Pretty soon people are coming over. They hear a pop, pop. And then some notice there's a rocket going up in there. They come over. Everybody that came over offered to buy that. They said, "Do you want to sell that? I'll give you $20 for it."
Wow.
Want to sell it? I said, "Well," I said, "I'd like to sell it, but it's a prototype. I mean, I'm working with the pro." "Oh man, here, when these come out on the market, if you come out, you should put them on the market. I'll buy it. But they all offered to buy it. I said, it's a hit. When people start taking money out of their wallet, that's when you know it's real. It's not talk anymore. It's the paper.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew it was a hit. So I said, you know what? I think I'll go to a friend of mine. He's got money. Show him what I'm going to do. And I did. And he looked at it and said, oh, this is great. Sure. What do you need? I said, about 30 grand. He said, okay. And he gave me the 30 grand. And in Porterville over there, I was able to find a nice big building and put all the stuff in I needed to do it. And I did. I started manufacturing, eventually got a hold of a big hobby shop. This is what I would call interesting about how this got going. It's like, what am I going to do with this? I got it. I'm going to manufacture it. But where the heck am I going to sell this thing? Where do they sell stuff like this? So I'm thinking, where am I going to sell this? Maybe hobby shops. Maybe a hobby shop would be a good start. So I call this one hobby shop in San Luis Obispo, or no, Paso Robles. Okay, they had a distributor there of all hobby shop stuff right there. So I called them up and said, I'd like to show them a product. He said, well, I don't know if we can do anything with it. We're just a distributor. I said, but do you know the guys at the main manufacturer? He said, yeah, but can't promise you anything. I said, okay. So they said, yeah, come on down. So I said, you know, take my wife with me. That's a little bit of a trip. We'll stay in a hotel and make fun of it no matter what happens. So I take it down. They said, what do you got? I said, come on outside. How many guys can come on? There was a woman working there, a couple guys. They all come out on the field. Holy that is cool, man. I mean, these guys flipped. Oh, yeah, we're going to do something with that. Oh, yeah. I mean, the way the attitudes change. Yeah, wow. And they said, we know right who to give this to. So that meant me having my wife there and these guys being this excited, and they're going to take it from me, box it up, and put the name of the guy that needs to see that right in their front door, right on his desk, for sure. So me and my wife had something to celebrate that night. That was a pretty cool thing. No matter what happened, we were both excited to see how excited they were. Okay, I'm going around. I'm doing my daily business, and my wife says, hey, man, this people from Horizon Hobby keeps calling. They want you to call them back. I said, oh, that's the guy we sent the sound rocket over to. I get on the phone. They said, Dave, we've been trying to reach you for days, man. He says, this is so-and-so at Horizon Hobbies. Yeah, we took that thing out of the box and nobody was really too interested until we went out and was whacking. It was freezing cold and we stayed out there playing with that thing until we almost froze to death. He said, yes, I think we can sell this. You sold us. We need you to come back to Champaign, Illinois, because we want to work out a deal. And I said, fine. So I go back there. That was okay, except for the flight. To get into that airport, Champaign, Illinois, I mean, that's the smallest. I was sitting on a small plane right up front, and the door was open, and I could see right out the front window, right through I was probably this close to the pilots. So I'm looking out the front window. We were landing, and that plane was going I said, we're going to break the wheels off when we hit, sideways. Yeah. But eventually, just as he touched down, he just managed to get it straight. But I said, man, I ain't never coming here in that plane again. But okay, so I get there, and they treated me real well there. They said, if you want to stay and work it out a deal, we'll get your car and I'll put you in a hotel room. I said, okay, sure. What they really wanted to do is they wanted to just improve it, make it more like an item that fits at a hobby shop. Better stand. They'll do all the decals that go on it. They'll do the packaging design and everything. Yeah. And they said, we'll send you all that, and then you supply it to us. Let us have first on it for a while, though. I said, sure. And then the thing, I was doing about 100,000 every 6 months or so, which isn't a lot of money. I was selling it to them. Then they said I could start selling it elsewhere. But I was working 2 jobs. I'm working down at Aquarian. I'm driving all the way up there. Then I have to see through all the bookwork and the manufacturing, fact, I put my son in charge of that whole operation because I knew he'd come up with the right tooling and everything, anything they needed to improve the speed of manufacturing and everything. And we hired people based on piecework.
Yeah.
I would do an assembly. I said I could do this many an hour. I would test it. And I would say, I want them to make a good wage, like about $20 an hour. So I'll give them 10 cents a piece because they'll make $20 an hour. Heck, those guys are making 30, $40 an hour. But I told them I'll give them 10 cents a piece. If they want to do, they'd take them home. They'd work them at them home. They'd have everybody in their house working on this stuff. So I got away from having to claim their wages because it was outside vendors, which was okay. I had to file tax, found out that it was okay. So it was getting too much. Some guys came around one day and they wanted to buy me out, which they did. They bought the whole thing. And needless to say, those guys became multi-millionaires, right?
Wow.
They became multi-millionaires. Sold it too soon. But see, they had money. I already had it developed to this point and it was already selling. All they had to do was take it to the big toy show in New York and demonstrate it to all the people who buy stuff like that. And they got an upstairs area where they could shoot way up into the ceiling because the ceiling was way high. Or they'd take the guys out and shoot them into the Hudson River because they had millions of those rockets with them. Everybody was blown away. It was probably considered one of the greatest toys of all time.
Wow.
In fact, I had a friend of mine call me from Washington, D.C., who knew I did this. It was around Christmas time. He said, Dave, are you watching the news? They got your stomp rocket on it. And I said, yeah, what's it about? I said, I'm not watching. He says, they're demonstrating it by shooting it into a garage door and they're denting up the door and they determined it's the most dangerous toy ever marketed. And I said, boy, that'll help it sell. Kids want that. I mean, it's the most dangerous gun ever made. You think anybody buy it? Of course, it'd be the best-selling gun made.
Sure.
And that's what happened. So, okay, with the water over the dam, okay, they became millionaires because they had the money to really market it, take it where it needed to be. That's still on the market to this day. How they got it into Walmart was they were on that show, that guy and that girl, that woman. I think she just passed away, or she's all handicapped right now. But it was a something Tilbit, something show.
Okay.
And he come walking out, and she hit him right in the butt. He said, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's this new stomp rocket thing. Whoa, look at that! So they take it up on the roof of their. Now they're filming this. On the show. Okay. Hey, we got this new toy. You got a hold of it, They brought it into take it up on the roof, and the helicopter guy, CBS helicopter, or whoever was up there and says, "Hey, we got this little toy rocket. We're gonna shoot up there. Is that okay?" He said, "Yeah, go ahead." Went way past his window, and to him to see that thing come that high and still going, he said, "Don't shoot that at me anymore," because he's afraid to get into one of his radio. He never thought that thing was gonna come up that high. Right. So pretty soon, Walmart was getting tons of calls. Like, "Do you carry that stomp rocket thing?" They go, no, we don't. And pretty soon they got a call. Walmart says, "We want to talk to you." Wow. So it got into Walmart, so you know what happens there. And I watched all that take place, and I said, you know what? They gave me what I asked for it, so I'm happy with that. I don't look at them like, "You bad guys, you should be paying me more." No. I felt I asked for it. How much you want for it? They gave. It was quite a big sum. Probably wouldn't be right to mention it, but no. Good enough.
Yes.
And even though they become multimillionaires, they still gave me what I asked for. So what can I say to them?
That's a lot to be proud of.
And as a matter of fact, I stayed good friends with them, and I designed some things for them and helped them do some things. One time the owner called me up. And he says, "I got this idea. I want you to look at it. I want you to improve it. I want you to do something." So I come over and I said, if I was you, I would not even consider doing this project. This, no, it's great. It's great. I want to do it. I said, to be honest with you, I don't want to waste your time. I could improve it, yes, but I don't think it has anywhere to go. It's worthless. What are you going to do? How are you going to sell that? He said, well, I think I can sell it. And we talked back and forth. He says, okay. He said, okay. So I leave, and I'm talking to him for a while. And pretty soon the secretary comes out and hands me a check for like $500 for talking him out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, he was a good guy. I mean,
yeah.
Thanks, man. He said, you're right. I'm going to waste a lot more than that. So this is nothing.
Yeah.
Because once he got to thinking about it, he could say, yeah, it's not going to sell. It was some kind of dumb thing that they were going to do that at the time. I don't remember what. I tell you why I don't remember. It was dumb.
Yeah, right.
If it was really cool and I told him not to do it and they went ahead and did it, made a lot of money, then I would be dumb. But they never did it. And they paid me. So it was like that. So I worked for him a little bit. My son made a lot of stuff, become friends, and good for them.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
then after that, I don't know what I did. I just my wife passed away, and I ended up marrying a Puerto Rican girl, meeting her on the one of those our time type club or whatever you call it.
Sure.
And she had so much stuff. I went over to Puerto Rico, and she was in the process of moving. She'd never been married before. She's about 65 or 60 something. Nice looking woman. Doesn't look that old at all. But she was moving, and the boxes, you know what a barrel box is?
Yeah.
It's a box about like that square and about that high. Okay, and they pack real nice. Couldn't walk in her house. There was everywhere. I mean, she had so much stuff. I didn't even know what she had. But she said, can't afford to live here in Puerto Rico if we get married. It's too expensive. So she looked around and she found nice homes for the money and the size, big 2-story, that she needed that we could afford. So we moved to Texas, moving away from my family. What am I going to do? I mean, you're going to get married or not married or stay with the family or get married so I have a life. I don't know. So then after we lived together, when she took all the stuff out of this and it's all over, I said, I think you missed the place you could put something on the wall. No, that's taken too. I couldn't find. Our house looks like this.
Stuff everywhere.
Only not with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, knickknacks, this and that.
Yeah.
Looks just like your drum shop.
Yeah.
You know. So you know what it would take to move all this
Oh
stuff.
my gosh.
You don't want to ever do that, right? Just leave it here and walk away.
We've been here 15 years at this location. One move is enough. It took a lot.
So basically, then we wanted to downsize because we wanted as big of a home, but not upstairs, not walking upstairs all the time. So we look around in Texas, Houston, everything went up. Couldn't even afford to live in Houston anymore. Sold the house at a good profit because we were there over 3 or 4 years. Next best place to move is Ocala, Florida, because it's got nice 55 plus communities, gated. Something we could afford again, and that's where I'm at now, Ocala.
Beautiful.
All I do now is just play my little miniature drum set with some other guys once in a while, but I don't last with those bands too long. They let me go because I'm so used to playing with such professionals that when I get around these guys, it's like, are you guys serious? I mean, do you want to play or not? I mean, you want somebody to pay us for this? Or should we work for free? And that's about what we're worth. They didn't like my attitude.
Well, you're just being honest.
I just couldn't deal with guys like that. I could deal better with musicians who were better than me because they have something to offer. You know? Exactly. So that's the life of Dave Donahoe.
That's wonderful.
That's the way my daughter talks. She thinks the same thing.
That's great.
She says, you've done more than most people do in 3 lifetimes. I think my son would agree with that too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. That's incredible.